everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a chapter which is called ISWARAN the Storyteller from class 9th book Moments, and this chapter is written by R.K. Lakshman. Storytelling is an art and not everyone can do justice to it. Talk about Ishwaran, a person who was an amazing storyteller. He was basically servant of Mahendra, but he had very profound skills of telling a story by adding humor, by adding adventure, suspense, horror, facial expressions, voice modulation, body language, everything, and make whatever incident he used to describe a very interesting one. So this chapter is basically about Ishwaran and his incidents that happened when he was with Mahendra. Let's read and understand this chapter, after which I will summarize. Then we will discuss the moral, significance of the title and the question answers. Starting from today's session, I am going to attach a new component to this video, and that is I'll give summary in written form as well right before the question answers. So make sure that you are there till the end to watch and note it down. And before we start with the session, as usual, let's know something about its writer R.K. Lakshman. Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Lakshman, commonly known as R.K. Lakshman, was born on 24th October 1921 in Mysore. He was an Indian cartoonist, illustrator and humorist. He is best known for his creation, The Common Man, and for his daily cartoon strip, You Said It, in the Times of India, which started in 1951. He was a recipient of Padma Bhushan in 1973, Karnataka Rajyotsav Award in 1983, Raymond Magsaysay Award in 1984, Padma Vibhushan in 2005. R.K. Lakshman left this world on 26 January 2015 in Pune, Maharashtra at the age of 93. Ishwaran the Storyteller. One night Mahendra woke up from his sleep and saw a dark, cloudy form. A dark, cloudy form here means a shadow. He broke out into a cold sweat. Was it a ghost? Let's read the story and find out what happens here. The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra, by name. He was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered on hire supervisors at various types of construction sites, factories, bridges, dams, and so on. Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. The idiom to keep an eye on means to check or supervise. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then as ordered by his head office, from a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site, from there after a few months to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. He was a bachelor. His needs were simple and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions, whether it was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. A quarry is a large pit from which stone or other material are extracted. But one asset he had was his cook, Ishwaran. The cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. Uncomplainingly means without complaining. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes, and chatted away with his master at night. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects. Weave out means imagine, and anecdotes means a story about a real incident or person. Or this entire story is being told by Mahendra to a person named Ganesh. So Ganesh is a young man. To him, Mahendra is telling this story about his cook, Ishwaran. Mahendra was a junior supervisor in a firm and he was offered to supervise on activities at various construction sites like factories, bridges, dams. And Mahendra's job was not a very stable one in the sense that he was never at one place. He used to keep moving from place to place, from a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site or to some chemical plant coming up somewhere. So that is how his life was. He was a bachelor, which means he was unmarried, and he had very simple needs, and he was very flexible and adjustable in whichever condition he stayed, whether it was a very ill equipped circuit house or living in a tent or in a makeshift canvas establishment, anything. He was always very adjustable. He had one advantage to him, and that was Ishwaran. Ishwaran was his cook. But more than a cook, he was also a kind of friend to Mahindra, because wherever Mahindra went, Ishwaran always accompanied him. Ishwaran also looked after other chores like washing his clothes, cooking food for him, or at night he used to chat. And while at night he used to chat, he used to tell endless stories about real people, real incidents on various subjects. Ishwaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients, seemingly out of nowhere in the middle of desolate landscape with no shops visible for miles around. Desolate means barren or empty. He would miraculously conjure up the most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. Miraculously means magically, conjure means produce. Mahindra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Ishwaran would tidy up the shed, wash the clothes, and have a leisurely bath. Leisurely means relaxed, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. Muttering means speaking unclearly. It would be lunchtime by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. Dozing off means sleeping. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running to hundreds of pages. Its imaginative descriptions and narrative flourishes would hold Ishwaran in thrall. In thrall means in power. In these two paragraphs, the writer is telling us about the character of Ishwaran. He was a very amazing person, and without any availability of vegetables or cooking ingredients, he had amazing capacity to bring up any particular tasty dish even in a place where nothing was available. There were no shops around. So he was a very good cook, and even after arriving in a zinc sheet shelter, that was a shelter which had a covering or a sheet that was made of zinc. And this shelter was in Mahindra's new workplace, where there were no shops, nothing was available. Yet within an hour of arriving there, he could make some delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables. Mahindra's routine was that he used to get up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast and carry his lunch with him. And in the meanwhile, during the entire day, Ishwaran would tidy up or clean up the shed, he would wash the clothes, take a leisure bath, means a relaxed bath. And while taking bath, he used to mutter particular prayers. After eating his own lunch, he would read for a while. He was very fond of reading Tamil thriller books. The stories that were there in those books, the imagination and the fantasies, everything used to hold Ishwaran's concentration very well. In other words, he used to be very fascinated by those thriller stories. His own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and a surprise ending into the account. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, Uprooted tree means a tree which has come out of the ground and fallen along with the roots. He would say, with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture. The road was deserted. Deserted means empty, and I was all alone. Suddenly, I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. Sprawled means spread. I was half inclined to turn and go back, but as I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. Mahindra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Ishwaran's tales uncritically. Uncritically means with no criticism or no judgment. Since we have already read that Ishwaran was very fond of telling stories or anecdotes, this particular paragraph is an extension of that point. In this paragraph, the writer has described how nicely he would narrate even the smallest of incidents. He would try to work and create a suspense at the end of every incident that he would detail or describe. For example, if he wanted to say that he had seen a tree on the highway which was uprooted, which was fallen off from the ground, then he would present it in a dramatic way, like he would arch his eyebrows, he would held out his arms, and then he will add such words which will create a suspense and an interest in his story. So this particular thing he would describe in the way like the road was all empty and he was walking alone, and suddenly he spotted something that looked like big bushy beast which was spread all over on the road. At first he got a little scared, he wanted to go back, but then when he came closer, he saw that it was a fallen tree. Well, Mahendra used to be very interested in his stories, so for him it was a nice entertainment. He used to stretch himself back on the chair and listen to Ishwaran's stories without any judgment or criticism, means without making any wrong or right of that story. The place I come from is famous for timber. Timber means wood. Ishwaran would begin. There is a richly wooded forest all around. The logs are hauled onto the lorries by elephants. Hauled means pulled by force. They are huge, well-fed beasts. When they turn wild, even the most experienced mahout is not able to control them. A mahout is a person who controls elephants. After this prologue, Ishwaran would launch into an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. Prologue means an introduction. One day, a tusker escaped from the timber yard and began to roam about. A tusker is an elephant. Stamping on bushes, tearing up wild creepers, and breaking branches at will. You know, sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad? Ishwaran would get up, caught up in the excitement of his own story, that he would get up from the floor and jump about, stamping his feet in emulation of the mad elephant. Emulation means to imitate. One day, Ishwaran began with one of his stories which happened in his real life. He told that he belonged to a place where wood or logs of wood or timber was very famous, and there elephants were used to put those logs of wood in lorries. So these were huge, well-fed beasts or animals, but whenever they turned wild, even the most experienced person who can otherwise control elephants was never able to control those wild elephants. And thus Ishwaran started to describe that story. One day, one of the elephants escaped from the timber yard and he began to roam about in the city. He was stamping on the bushes, he was tearing up all the plants, branches, breaking them, everything. And then that elephant was as if he had gone mad. Now, while describing this incident, Ishwaran was so into storytelling, and as was his habit of presenting anything so dramatically with his body language or with his facial expressions that he started to imitate that mad elephant by getting up on the floor, jumping about, and stamping his own feet on the floor just to show how that mad elephant behaved in real life. The elephant reached the outskirts of our town. Outskirts are the outer part of a city, breaking the fences down like matchsticks. He would continue. It came into the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits, mud pots, and clothes. People ran helter skelter in panic. Helter skelter means here and there in confusion. The elephant now entered a school ground where children were playing, breaking through the brick wall, and the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the doors tight. The beast grunted and wandered about. Grunted means made a short sound, and wandered means roamed. Pulling out the football goal post, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum kept for water, and uprooting the shrubs. Shrubs means small plants. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the terrace of the school building. From here, they helplessly watched the depredations of the elephant. Depredation means attack. There was not a soul below on the ground. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. Inhabitants means the residents. Ishwaran continued with his story, and he told that the elephant which had gone mad had now reached the outer areas of the city. He was breaking fences like matchsticks, and then he came to the main road, smashed all the fruit selling stalls, mud pots, clothes. People ran here and there to save their lives, and then the elephant entered the school ground where children were playing. He broke the brick wall, and all the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the doors tightly. The beast was wandering about, he was roaming about in the school area. He pulled out the football post, he tore the volleyball net, he kicked and flattened the drum, he uprooted the small plants. So he did all the terrible destruction that he could do. And in the meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up on the terrace of the school building and they watched helplessly as the elephant destroyed everything. There was not even a single person below on the ground, and the streets were empty as if all the residents of the city had disappeared somewhere suddenly. I was studying in the junior class at that time and was watching the whole drama from the rooftop. I don't know what came over me suddenly. I grabbed a cane from the hands of one of the teachers and ran down the stairs and into the open. The elephant grunted and menacingly swung a branch of tree which it held in its trunk. Menacingly means threateningly, to threaten someone. It stamped its feet, kicking up a lot of mud and dust. It looked frightening, but I moved slowly towards it, stick in hand. People were watching the scene, hypnotized from nearby housetops. Hypnotized means with whole attention. The elephant looked at me red-eyed, ready to rush towards me. It lifted its trunk and trumpeted loudly. Trumpeted means shouted. At that moment, I moved forward and mustering all my force, whacked its third toenail on the quick. Whacked means hit. The beast looked stunned for a moment. Stunned means semi-conscious. Then it shivered from head to foot and collapsed. Collapsed means fell down. Ishwaran told during this incident that he was also one of the onlookers or watchers of that, and he was studying in junior class at that time in that particular school. So something came onto him. He grabbed a cane or a stick from the hand of one of the teachers and he went down the stairs into open where the elephant was there. Elephant shouted and He wanted to threaten the boy, that is Ishwaran, with a branch of tree which was held in its trunk. The elephant stamped its feet, it kicked up a lot of mud and dust. It really looked frightening to Ishwaran and all the other people who were watching everything from the top of their houses. It was very angry and it was ready to rush towards him. So it lifted the trunk and shouted loudly, and just then Ishwaran had his stick in his hand. He hit the elephant's third toenail with that stick, and he hit it so badly that the elephant became semi conscious and for a moment, and then he collapsed or he fell on the ground. At this point, Ishwaran would leave the story unfinished and get up mumbling, I will be back after lighting the gas and warming up the dinner. Mahendra, who had been listening with rapt attention, would be left hanging. Rapt means fascinated. When he returned, Ishwaran would not pick up the thread of the story right away. Mahendra would have to remind him that the conclusion was pending. Well, a veterinary doctor was summoned to revive the animal. Veterinary doctor means a doctor who takes care or treats animals, and summoned means called for. Ishwaran would shrug casually. 2 days later, it was led away by its mahout to the jungle. Well, how did you manage to do it, Ishwaran? How did you bring down the beast? It has something to do with a Japanese art, I think, sir. Karate or jujitsu, it is called. I had read about it somewhere. It temporarily paralyzes the nervous system, you see. Now, after telling the story, Ishwaran would leave that story unfinished. It was just to create a kind of curiosity in the listener. And he would tell that he wanted to warm up the food which was kept in the kitchen, and so he would leave. Mahendra would be so curious that he would keep waiting for Ishwaran to come and continue with the story. But whenever Ishwaran came back, he never picked up the story and continued with it. In fact, he waited till Mahendra would specially ask for it. So when Mahendra asked for the conclusion, Ishwaran told that a veterinary doctor, that is a doctor who treats animals, was called to revive the animal, to make that animal conscious again, and then 2 days later he was taken by his mahout back to the jungle. When Mahendra asked how did he manage to do what he did, how did he know that he had to hit the beast on his toenail? At that time, Ishwaran replied that this was a Japanese technique, but he wasn't sure whether it was karate or jujitsu. He had read it somewhere, and this technique temporarily paralyzes the nervous system. So this entire thing tells us that Ishwaran was not only very creative, innovative, he was also very smart and intelligent, and would say that he had a good presence of mind whenever an odd situation arrived. Not a day passed without Ishwaran recounting some story packed with adventure, horror, and suspense. Recounting means telling. Whether the story was credible or not. Credible means believable. Mahendra enjoyed listening to it because of the inimitable way in which it was told. Inimitable means unique. Ishwaran seemed to more than make up for the absence of a TV in Mahendra's living quarters. One morning when Mahendra was having breakfast, Ishwaran asked, Can I make something special for dinner tonight, sir? After all, today is an auspicious day. According to tradition, we prepare various delicacies to feed the spirits of our ancestors today, sir. Delicacies means tasty dishes. That night, Mahendra enjoyed the most delicious dinner and complimented Ishwaran on his culinary skills. Culinary means cooking. He seemed very pleased, but unexpectedly launched into a most garish account involving the supernatural. Garish means bad, and supernatural means something beyond scientific understanding. In Mahendra's life, there was not a single day which passed without Ishwaran's stories, and those stories used to be filled of adventure, horror, or suspense. Whether they were believable or not, Mahendra did not bother about all that. But he was quite entertained by Ishwaran. And for Mahendra, it did not matter whether there was TV or not. Ishwaran's entertaining stories used to compensate for the absence of TV. One morning, Ishwaran asked Mahendra whether he can make something special for the dinner because it was a day when the tradition was to prepare tasty dishes to feed the spirits or the souls of the dead ancestors or people. Mahendra agreed to it. That night, Mahendra enjoyed the most delicious dinner Ishwaran had made, and he even complimented Ishwaran on his cooking skills. But it all seemed very pleased, and unexpectedly, Ishwaran came up with a story which had something to do with supernatural powers, and it made his night very bad because Ishwaran shared a very bad account, a terrible account of something that was beyond scientific understanding. Let's see what he tells us. You know, sir, this entire factory area we are occupying was once a burial ground. A burial ground is a place where dead bodies are buried. He started. Mahendra was jerked out of the pleasant reverie he had drifted into after the satisfying meal. Reverie means daydreaming. I knew on the first day itself when I saw a human skull lying on the path. Even now I come across a number of skulls and bones. Ishwaran continued. He went on to narrate how he sometimes saw ghosts at night. I am not easily frightened by these things, sir. I am a brave fellow. But one horrible ghost of a woman which appears off and on at midnight during the full moon. It is an ugly creature with matted hair and a shriveled face, like a skeleton holding a fetus in its arms. Matted means tangled, shriveled means shrunk, and fetus means unborn baby. Mahendra shivered at the description and interrupted rather sharply. You are crazy, Ishwaran. There are no such things as ghosts or spirits. It is all a figment of your imagination. Figment means creation. Get your digestive system examined and maybe your head as well. You are talking nonsense. Now Ishwaran started to tell about the experience of the place where they were presently staying. The area was actually once a burial ground where this entire factory has been set up and where Mahendra and Ishwaran were now staying. Ishwaran told that he knew it from the first day itself when he saw a human skull lying on the path, and then later on also he saw many such skulls and bones. But he told that he was not frightened of ghosts because he was brave, but there is one horrible ghost of a woman who appears at the midnight during the full moon. She looks like an ugly creature with tangled hair and shrunken face. She almost looks like a skeleton who holds an unborn child or an unborn baby in its arms. When Mahendra heard this, he shivered and he was little uncomfortable at the description, but he told Ishwaran that this is all very crazy. There are no such ghosts or spirits in this world, and it's all only a creation of his own imagination, and he should get himself checked, his head as well as his digestive system, because he is now talking nonsense, something that does not exist in the world. He left the room and retired for the night, expecting Ishwaran to sulk for a couple of days. Sulk means be sad. But the next morning he was surprised to find the cook as cheerful and talkative as ever. From that day on, Mahendra, for all his brave talk, went to bed with a certain unease. Unease means discomfort. Every night he peered into the darkness outside through the window next to his bed, trying to make sure that there was no movement of dark shapes in the vicinity. Vicinity means surrounding area, and peered means looked. But he could only see a sea of darkness with the twinkling lights of the factory miles away. He had always liked to admire the milk white landscape on full moon nights. But after hearing Ishwaran's story of the female ghost, he avoided looking out of his window altogether when the moon was full. After Ishwaran narrated that incident, Mahendra thought that for a few days Ishwaran would be quiet or sad. But the next day, Ishwaran was back again to his cheerfulness and talkativeness. And from that day, Mahendra, though told Ishwaran to be brave and not to believe in such things, but Mahendra himself could not sleep. Every night he used to be peering or looking out of the window into the darkness, just trying to make sure that there is no such shape that is moving around. And whenever it was full moon, he liked to look at the area of the factory, which was white on a full moon night. But after hearing Ishwaran's story, he also became very scared of that female ghost. And whenever it was full moon, he tried not to look outside the window ever again. One night, Mahendra was woken up by his sleep by a low moan close to his window. Moan means cry. At first, he put it down to a cat prowling around for mice. Prowling means hunting. But the sound was too guttural for a cat. Guttural means harsh. He resisted the curiosity to look out, lest he should behold a sight which would stop his heart. Behold means see. But the wailing became louder and less feline. Feline means cat-like. He could not resist the temptation anymore. Lowering himself to the level of the windowsill, he looked out at the white sheet of moonlight outside. There, not too far away, was a dark cloudy form clutching a bundle. A dark cloudy form means a shadow kind of thing. Clutching means holding tightly. Mahendra broke into a cold sweat and fell back on the pillow, panting. Panting means breathing heavily because of fear. As he gradually recovered from the ghastly experience, he began to reason with himself. Ghastly means terrible, and finally concluded that it must have been some sort of auto-suggestion, some trick that his subconscious had played on him. Auto-suggestion is the hypnotic or subconscious adoption of an idea which one originated himself. It means that because he had heard such a story from Ishwaran, that idea had or that story had gone into his subconscious mind, and now his subconscious mind is trying to imagine what Ishwaran had told. Though it may not be a real thing, but it could be only his imagination. That's what Mahendra thought to himself. So on one such full moon night, Mahendra woke up because there was a low crying sound which was coming from the window that was close to him. At first he thought that it was the cat which was trying to hunt the mouse, and so it was shouting. But then he observed that this sound did not match the cat's sound. It was something very harsh. At first he tried not to look because he got afraid. Then he was brave enough to lower himself till the windowsill and try to look outside. When he looked outside, he saw a shadow kind of a thing, a dark thing which was holding a bundle. And then he got really scared. He got so scared that he could not breathe, and suddenly he lay flat on his bed. Gradually he recovered from that experience, and then he tried to reason out why it happened with him. He tried to tell himself that it could have been his imagination because Ishwaran had told that incident to him, and Because he had told such an incident, he started to hallucinate or imagine such a thing as to be real. And that's why it happened with him. By the time he had got up in the morning, had a bath, and come out to have his breakfast, the horror of the previous night had faded from his memory. Ishwaran greeted him at the door with his lunch packet and his bag. Just as Mahendra was stepping out, Ishwaran grinned and said, grinned means smiled. Sir, remember the other day when I was telling you about the female ghost with a fetus in its arms? You were so angry with me for imagining things? Well, you saw her yourself last night. I came running, hearing the sound of moaning that was coming from your room. A chill went down Mahendra's spine. He did not wait for Ishwaran to complete his sentence. He hurried away to his office and handed in his papers, resolving to leave the haunted place the very next day. So by the time it was morning, Mahendra had almost forgotten about last night's incident. But when he was leaving for his work, Ishwaran greeted him at the door and he told Mahendra that the other day when he had told about this female ghost, Mahendra reacted angrily and he had told Ishwaran not to imagine such things. But when Ishwaran told Mahendra that last night when he heard the same moaning sound and he had come near his room just to check, at that time he saw that Mahendra had also seen the ghost. So the conclusion was that the ghost was seen by both Ishwaran and Mahendran, and therefore it was justified that the ghost really existed. It was not an idea of imagination or creation of imagination, it really happened. When Mahendra also heard this from Ishwaran, he got so fearful that he did not wait for Ishwaran's sentence to be completed. He hurried to the office and he handed over the papers of quitting the job, and he decided to leave that haunted place the very next day. This story was narrated by Mahendra to a person called Ganesh. Now Mahendra was a junior supervisor at construction sites and he had a servant called Ishwaran. Ishwaran used to cook for him, wash clothes for him, clean his shed or his place of residence. Ishwaran was an amazing person. He was brave, he was intelligent, smart enough to cook up any delicious dish in this world and make up for things which were not even available. Ishwaran had an unmatchable skill of storytelling. Every night he used to sit with Mahendra, and while chatting, he used to narrate a particular incident in such a way that it used to captivate Mahendra's attention for long. So even though Mahendra did not have a television for his entertainment, Ishwaran used to make up or compensate for that absence of TV. He was very fond of reading, so he read books on Tamil thrillers. And probably those Tamil thriller books used to give him ideas for his imagination of new stories. There was one such big incident which happened when Ishwaran was small and he was in a junior class. An elephant who got mad had entered into the town and was destroying everything. And he entered Ishwaran's school. At that time, everyone was indoors or were on their rooftop watching the elephant tearing up the volleyball net or destroying the ground, stamping his feet, uprooting the trees, etc. Ishwaran was a very smart child and he took a cane, he went near the elephant. Without fearing the elephant, he hit on his third toenail, and after that, elephant fell unconscious. After about 2 days, when the veterinary doctor was successful in reviving the elephant, he was taken back to the jungle by a mahout. So this incident tells us that Ishwaran was never afraid of anything. He had a good presence of mind, and with the help of his wits and the knowledge that he used to get whenever he read some books, he used to use them in a particular incident. Once Mahendra was working at a factory site and he was staying there only with a shed which was made of zinc sheets. In that area, Ishwaran had a feeling that it was a burial site before it was turned into a factory place, because he had seen a lot of skulls and bones on his way. And one night he told Mahendra that he has actually seen a ghost of a woman who looks very ugly and always holds an unborn baby in her arms. On hearing this, Mahendra got very scared. And on one such full moon night, he actually saw a dark, cloudy form. Mahendra got scared and he quickly lay on his bed, panting or breathing heavily. Later on, he tried to justify that it must have been a work of his mind, an idea or an imagination, because Ishwaran had already told him that story. But the next morning, when Ishwaran also told him that he too saw the ghost, and he saw Mahendra seeing the ghost as well, at that time Mahendra was very much sure that there was actually a ghost and that entire place was haunted. And he made a decision to leave that place at once. That's where the story ends. And now let's see what is the significance of the title. Well, the title of the story is very significant. Ishwaran the Storyteller. It is because this entire chapter or this entire story talks about the skills of storytelling of Ishwaran. Ishwaran was an amazing storyteller because he used to narrate the incidents in such a way that it used to keep the listeners captivated for a long time. That was because he used to add so many elements to his description. That is, the body language, the facial expressions, the voice modulation, the way of telling a story or a particular incident used to be really very interesting. And that is why the title is really apt for this story, because it talks about the skills of Ishwaran. Now, what do you think can be the moral of this chapter? Of course, it's for sure. It relates to the last incident that is depicted in the story, that is related to ghosts. Some people do believe in supernatural powers and some do not. But then one has to be really objective or rational in feeling what to believe and what not to. Anything that is not scientifically proven should not be blindly opted and followed. Always look for any scientific proof before you believe on supernatural or uncanny things. That's all I have in this session today, and I'll be back with a new topic in my next video. But do not forget to check the summary and the question answers, which I'm going to flash right now. Bye, take care, and all the best to all of you. Thank you very much.